Yeah, you're welcome. I want to share my screen so that we can be able to follow along. Yes. Um, we are having the second class of Python. I wanted to show us something that has to do with um, how to work with variables in Python. Okay, how to work with variables in Python. So we'll talk about data types as we go, as we work with Python. But let us take a look at this scenario. Just imagine that you have a list of students. This is a list of students. Okay, let me just start that one right here. So let me say I say students just to now when you use the square brackets, you are trying to create a list, or in other languages we call it array. So this is a list. So one student's name Sarah there, and that student name Peter there, and that student name John there. Okay. Now imagine you want to look through these students. Okay. So we're going to use the for uh, for person. Okay, or for students in students. Okay, now this is a loop. It's going to loop through each of the item in the list. If I say for student in students, now if I say print student, okay, that is this student now, print student from this list of students, okay. If I run that, it's going to print out for me the 3 students that we have, which is Sarah, Peter, and John. So sorry, okay, yeah. So that we have that Sarah, Peter, and John. So let us now say that for each student, we want to enter if the student has paid or has paid his school fees or his course fee, or has not paid his or her course fee. So I'm going to now say I'm going to use the input keyword. Now, for me to use the input keyword, I'm going to use the create a variable called pay and assign it to the input, call the input function, and say input has the student paid, the question, okay, student paid, okay. So I'm going to say enter Y for yes and N for no, okay. So that's what we're going to do. So we're expecting a Y, and we're also expecting a Y for a yes and N for no. So this is going to get the user input. You're going to now, the user is expected to type the value that he wants in. And this is what we use to enter values into the variables from the user, accept user inputs, and assign the value that the user has typed to this variable we created called pay. Okay, so we're now going to check. If yes, we say the student can attend class. If no, we say student cannot attend class. So I'm going to say if pay is equals to yes. Okay, yeah. So if it's yes, the student can attend class. So I'm going to now take this guy Okay, let me just copy and paste that. I say students can attend class. Okay, but if no, else. So I'm going to use the, now apart from using else, like if y or if n, we can still say, we can do several conditions. For example, I can say L if, okay, this time pay equals to n. Okay, I'll print students, the same student now can not attend, should leave the class, should kindly leave class. Yes, because the student has not paid, right? Okay, then finally, we'll say else. That means the person did not enter Y, the person did not enter N. So print invalid answer. Okay, invalid answer. Okay, sorry, I had to spell answer. What's wrong with me? Okay, answer. Okay, cool. So we have this list of students, Sarah, Peter, and John, in this square bracket. Okay, and then we now have this loop. Now take a look at the indent. Okay, when you say for student, in students, you are simply saying I want to iterate or go through this list one by one, and for each value that you go through, assign the value to this student's variable here. So each time you're going to be working on each of these variables for the entire time that you run this code. And you're going to run this code for as many variables that you have or values you have inside this list. Okay, so let's take a look at how it goes. So I'm running this guy. It says Sarah, has the student paid? Enter Y for yes and N for no. So if I say yes, the student has paid, it says Sarah can attend class. Then Peter, has the student paid? Enter Y for yes and N for no. No, the student has not paid. It says Peter should kindly leave the class. And then finally, John, has the student paid? Enter Y for yes and N for no. This time I put F, doesn't mean anything. I'm supposed to enter Y for yes or N for no, and I press enter, it says invalid answer. Okay, so this is just I'm just trying to explain that with these two functions, the print and the input, we can really work, we can now create an interactive application. So like we said, the print statement, which is what you see here, the print statement is able to output values onto the screen, like what you see here. Sarah, Peter, John, okay? We're able to output values of the variable. But if we want to take in user input, we use the input function, as in this case. So we say input, and then this statement here is just like a prompt. This is a prompt, it's prompting, by prompting the user so that the user will know what is expected of him to enter. Okay, like in this case, it prompts the user to, it says, has the student paid? Enter Y for yes, N for no. So the user will read this and know, oh, I'm supposed to enter Y, I'm supposed to enter N. So if it's Y, then we indent again, we print student can attend class because student has paid. Then there's this elif statement, because now we're going to have multiple conditions, because we have user can put Y, user can put N, and then user can put a host of any other kind of character that we don't expect. So we want to really condition the user to be able to enter the correct thing. And when he enters the wrong thing, then we'll try and perfect this later on, so that if the person enters the wrong thing, the person should be forced to go back to the value that has not been done and repeat for that person. Okay, so there you go. That is how we have these outputs that we have here. Okay, so I don't know if this is clear to some of us. Some of us are just coming. I don't know if this is clear enough. Um, Talking about working with the input function. When we work with the input function, we're able to take in users' input as the name implies, okay? The input function, okay? So we use the input in brackets, the prompt, and then it will be able to allow the user to make an input. Let us try it again. I'm going to run this again. Okay, says Sarah, has the student paid? No, student has not paid. Sarah should kindly leave the class. Peter, has student paid? Yes, Peter has paid. Peter can attend class. John, has John paid? Enter anything? Okay, so it says invalid answer. Okay, now finally, let's talk about data types. We were talking about the variables that we work with. Now, variables can have different types of data. We will start working with the different types of data in our next class. But for now, I just want to let us know the different types of data that we have. Okay, so the first type of data that we have is the sorry, and this is actually a string. Okay, string. So when we use string, it means that we are trying to use characters, just characters, okay, um, as values. We're not going to do any mathematical computation on the variables. Then when we say numeric, you have numeric data types, and there are three main types. You have int, you have floats, and you have the complex data type. For for numeric data types. For int, it means numbers that are whole numbers, numbers that don't have decimals. Okay, whole numbers are int or integer. But if you're going to have a number that is going to have decimal places, then we use float. Float is for numbers that will have decimal places. Then we have complex numbers or imaginary numbers. Okay, imaginary numbers. So those kind of numbers that is like 25i plus j. So those are imaginary numbers, or 25 plus 21 plus 1i, where you have I in addition, I or J. That is complex number. That is like, you can get a complex number when you find the square root. For example, you find the square root of 7, you get an imaginary number. Then we have sequence types. Okay. Yeah, we've worked with some of these sequences. So for example, our list, our tuples, okay, and range. Okay, these are sequence types. All right. So this kind of sequence means like a list of items. When you have a variable that stores items, okay, one after the other together as a collection, that is a sequence. So we have list, we have tuple, and we have range. We will talk about the differences later on. Then we have mapping, okay, mapping types, and this very popular one is the dictionary or dict or the dictionary. For Python, the dictionary is like a key value pair. You have a key value pair, and it's one of the powerful data types with Python. It's what we usually use to kind of work with um, different types of records and be able to, map them to keys. So when we map them to keys, then we are able to, work with different sets of data depending on what you want to achieve. Then we have our sets. Okay, set data type. So we have sets. Okay, sets like we know, like when you want to kind of work with a set of values. So we use the set data type to do that. So just think about the statistical analysis you can do with sets. You can do set unions, you can do sets, any mathematical kind of computation we used to do with sets on statistics can be done with sets. Then we have the Boolean type, and we use the bool. We create the bool type. So a Boolean is a variable that can only have two values, either 0 or 1, true or false, off or on. Okay, it's just limited to these two variables. So that is a Boolean. Okay, and then we can work with binaries. Okay, binary. For binary, we can work with bytes. Okay, maybe you're working with files, images, and all of that. Then there's the byte array. Okay, the byte array is something like, most times pictures are byte arrays. Okay, and then when you want to like have a memory story, you want to like, you have a data type of memory. So we have the memory view. Okay, but this is advanced and all of that. And before you now have the non type. Okay, the non type. Um non other languages, we have the null. The null means null is different from empty. Okay, it's different from empty. Something can exist but it's empty, but when that thing does not exist, that is none. It doesn't exist. Okay, so that is the non type. Now if you want to know the type of a what a variable, data type of a variable is. Okay, let me create another stuff here. Okay, so if I say x equals to 5, okay, and I say print type x, okay, it's going to give me the type of x. It's a class int. Okay, I forgot to explain something about Python when we talk about classes. Everything in Python is objects. I will repeat this in our next physical class. Everything in Python is an object. Okay, so it says class int. Okay, so let us say, for example, let us say x again, and this is another beautiful thing about Python. Let's say x is equals to false. Sorry, false. Python is case sensitive. Please print type x again. Okay. Okay. Now you see, at the initial stage, x is of type int, meaning is a number. But we now declared x equals to false and true or false. That's a Boolean. So class of bool or Boolean. This one beautiful thing of Python. Python can you can create a variable. Today is a number, tomorrow is a Boolean, the other time is a string, and all of that. Let us play around with this a little. Let's create two more variables with x. Let's say x equals to 21.56. Okay, let us print what is type x, type of x. Finally, let us say x equals to school. Okay, and let us say print type of x. What is x? Let us see what we have. Okay, there you go. So we see when x is equals to 5, x is int because it's a whole number. Okay. Now, when x is equals to 21.56, because now they are decimal points, it's no longer a whole number. You say x is a float. It's a floating point number now. Okay. Then here again, x equals to school. X equals to school. This is a string. That's why it says str string. And then, well, of course, you have the Boolean. Let us say, let us declare more stuff for x. X equals to this. if x is equals to that, let's say 1, 2, 3. Okay, what type is x? And finally, let us have a complex number. X equals to, let us say we want to get the square root of 7. Square root of 7. So print type of x. Okay, what do we get? Oh, square root of 7. I want to get a floating point number. What is x here? Okay, so there's a square root of 7. We'll find we'll find a way to get a complex number. Then we'll see how we can get a class of object of complex number. But take a look at this. X equals to, okay, take at this square bracket. It shows it's a list. Okay, it's a list. Now there are other versions. So I'm going to just copy this guy. Let me just paste. Okay. Now this is 1, 2, 3, and then from here. Now let us do this. Do this one. Then we do this one. Sorry. Okay, there we go. So yeah, so we see when it is square bracket, x is a list. Okay, when it is curly bracket, x is a set. All right, and when it is a round bracket, x is a tuple. Okay, but when we have a key value pair, it changes. It changes. So let us take a look at that. Okay, so I'm going to now say x equals to, let's do this. We'll come to all of this, but just trying to show you all data types. So I have A, this there. I have B, that there. And I have C, that there. Okay, cool. So I have this key value pairs, key value pairs, key value pair. A is the key, 1 is the value for A. B is the key, 2 is the value for B. C is the key, 3 is the value for C. Now, this is what we call a dictionary. A dictionary. Okay. So I'm trying to go through all the data types that we'll use, and we'll start working with the numeric data types and start solving problems. This week is just to introduce us to Python, and then from next week we'll now start real life problem solving, looking for issues, how to work with these data types, analyze data, get output, get input from users, use Python to, run through these inputs and get an output. So I hope that we've been able to understand some of what we've been able to work on. We created a list of names here. We looked through. We're trying to see how to get inputs from users using the input keyword, and we worked with them based on whether the student has paid fee, course fee or not. Be able to get the required responses. And then we also talked about our what's it called now? Different types of data. We have our text, numeric, sequence, mapping, Boolean, and so on and so forth. And then we have the examples listed right here. I don't know if there are any questions. Okay, so if there are no questions, I would this is also recorded, so I will save it and then I can also have it available for us for those who want to have it. So we'll see again on Monday by 12 Thank you, guys.